Hello lecturers, teachers and fellow students. My name is Christopher and welcome to my Marketing Strategy and Planning Assignment 1 case study on how Puma created a win-win for both their company and their stakeholders by adopting sustainability accounting. First up, I'll talk a little bit about the background and history on the Puma brand, followed by how Puma not only applied but benefited from implementing a green accounting approach. Next, Puma's industry definition. I will then touch on the external forces and trends impacting the industry, followed by some key recommendations. And finally, throughout this presentation, I'll be asking you, the viewers, some questions surrounding Puma. If you could be so kind as to leave your answers on the Canvas thread below where this video is posted, that would be greatly appreciated. You don't have to write these questions down. The last slide will have all the questions on one slide for your reference. First up, I'd like to talk a little bit about the brand Puma. Puma is a German-owned company founded in 1948 by Rudolf Dassler, who coincidentally is the brother of Adi Dassler, the founder of Adidas. In 2018, Puma had just under 15,000 employees worldwide and generated approximately 4.6 billion euros in sales. Puma is the third largest sportswear manufacturer behind Adidas and Nike. However, Puma has gained a reputation for their stylish products having a more urban look to them, and they're quite popular with younger generations due to their fashionable appearance. This is highlighted by model Cara Delevingne in the bottom left. Cara is not an athlete, however still acts as a product endorser. The brand's core values are brave, confident, determined, and joyful. Question number 1. Do you view the Puma brand as a green brand? Meaning, does your perception of the brand include that of corporate social responsibility and sustainability? What is sustainability? Well, the Oxford Dictionary defines sustainability as the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals define global development priorities for 2030 and aim to join efforts among businesses, governments, and civil societies around the world. But what about sustainability accounting? The term sustainability can be outlined according to 3 different categories. In the social category are employees' health and safety, company culture and diversity, education, training, and talent management. In the environmental category, there is resource and energy consumption, waste and pollution, and emissions and climate. And finally, the economic category, which includes customer satisfaction and loyalty, creation of shareholder value, regulatory compliance, and liability for accidents and environmental damage. At the interface of the environment and economic, the goal is to be viable. At the interface between the social and the economic, the goal is to be equitable. And at the interface between the social and economic, the goal is to be bearable. At the center, when all is aligned, the goal is sustainability. Question number 2. Does a brand's sustainability practices impact your purchase decision when considering what brands to purchase? With sustainability in mind, we will now look at Puma's implementation of sustainability accounting. What did Puma do? Puma recognized that there is a need to put a monetary value on natural services. So what does that mean? Well, nature provides us with valuable services which are costless and thus economically invisible, but threatened by 3 challenges. So to do this, Puma needed a new mindset that values the services of the ecosystem that are required. How do they overcome these challenges? Well, Puma implemented an EP&L. What's that? An economic profit and loss. Profits were activities that benefited nature, with losses, activities that harm nature. The reasoning behind this is, what do nature's free of charge services cost? And the motivation was an improved understanding of sustainability through a common monetary metric, increased transparency, and enhanced stakeholder engagement. The steps required to achieve this was they needed to identify environmental drivers, value environmental drivers, analyze the supply chain, analyze the results, and improve continuously and measure. Now, Puma's sustainability is a great marketing tool which has been underutilized by the business. Which brings us to our third question. In your opinion, is Puma doing enough to let consumers know about their sustainability practices? Next up, Puma's industry definition, starting with a broad definition. Puma falls within the clothing industry, which can be separated into male, female, and children clothing. This can be further separated into sportswear and apparel. After broad and before narrow, there is a middle ground, which is broad narrow. And Puma falls into this space under fashion. Fashion can be broken down into three categories. Firstly, apparel, which can be broken down into footwear and streetwear. Secondly, sportswear, which can be broken down into sportswear and activewear. And finally, accessories, which can be broken down into sports accessories and casual accessories. Finally, a narrow definition of Puma's industry, which falls into sport. Puma is synonymous with sport, and the industry can be broken down into three subcategories: professional, amateur, and casual. The professional category is broken into performance and durability, the amateur into style and performance, and finally the casual, which is fashion and comfort. Next up, some external trends impacting the industry, starting with a pest analysis. The pest analysis is a tool that marketers use to evaluate the conditions within the external environment that can impact the business, starting with political. Puma is distributed to over 120 countries worldwide, and thus Puma must acclimatize to the local political climate in each country. With main manufacturing hubs in China and Vietnam that have a more relaxed labour laws when compared to their Western manufacturing counterparts, means that political factors affecting Puma are neutral. Unfavourable factors include economic. Australians are now spending more than they earn, which has a direct impact on discretionary spending. While clothing is deemed as a necessity item, fashion and sporting apparel fall more in line with luxury items, which can be substituted for cheaper alternatives. This will be discussed further on the next slide. With this in mind, economic factors are deemed unfavourable. Favourable factors, however, are social and technological. First up, social. Social trends are favourable for Puma. Younger consumers are seriously concerned with the social and environmental causes, which many regard as the defining issue of our time. Puma sustainability practices is a big point of difference from its competitors. Also favourable, technological. Puma has a strong presence on social media with 9.3 million followers on Instagram and 20 plus million likes on Facebook. The brand is highly active and engaging on social media, which is essential for the technological advancement for the company. Puma also has an app available for smartphones called Puma Track, which provides users with workouts from famous athletes and sportspersons. Next up, in our external analysis, we'll be looking at Porter's 5 forces. By utilising Porter's 5 forces to review the competitive forces for Puma, we will determine which of the forces are benign and which are shaping the industry. This answers the question, what competitive forces in the industry will impact the business's opportunity to profit? First up, the threat of new entrants. While the threat of new entrants into the fashion and sportswear industry is high due to low startup costs and the digital marketing capabilities brought forward by the rise of social media, these new entrants will more than likely be niche competitors and not able to compete on the scale of Puma, and therefore the threat of new entrants to Puma's profitability is low. Secondly, the power of suppliers. As mentioned, Puma is the third largest sportswear manufacturer in the world and utilises numerous suppliers in its manufacturing network. The business utilises multiple suppliers in countries such as China and Vietnam, where there are lower costs of labour and cheaper raw materials. The size of Puma, coupled with the numerous different suppliers utilised in the manufacturing of the brand's products, means that the power of suppliers is relatively low. Thirdly, the power of buyers. Buyers have a direct impact on the profitability of the Puma brand. With low switching costs, it makes it easier for customers to buy other brands' products. In the worlds of online shopping, customers have the ability to quickly and easily shop for the lowest price for a similar product. With regards to profitability, the power of buyers is moderate. Penultimately, the threat of substitutes. Clothing is a universally needed item that is always in demand. As the increase in sports popularity grows, so does the demand for clothing and sporting equipment. With Nike and Adidas having large resources competing in the same space, the threat of substitute products is extremely high. While Puma differentiates its products from its competitors very well, the market is highly buoyant with consumers having the ability to change due to price, availability, style, etc. And finally, rivalry among existing competitors. Rivalry is extremely high among the competitors in the market. With Nike, Adidas and Puma rounding out the top 3, other brands such as Reebok, Skechers and Under Armour are not far off in terms of size and profitability. Fortunately, Puma is able to compete with Nike and Adidas based on range size, as the market However, the market is still that of high competition. Question 4. Do you think that an increase in green marketing from Puma will result in increased sales and market share versus their competitors? Finally, key recommendation for Puma. The key recommendation is for Puma to increase their green marketing efforts. But what is green marketing? Green marketing refers to the process of selling products and or services based on their environmental benefits. But why should Puma increase its green marketing? Puma has spent a lot of time, effort, and resources on becoming environmentally sustainable. An increase in green marketing awareness will only assist as acting as a point of difference to their competitors. In a highly competitive market with threat of substitutes high, Puma's sustainability practices could well be a point of difference when consumers are making their purchase decision. Question number 5. Do you think Puma's sustainability practices add value to the brand? As promised, here are the questions from throughout the presentation. If you could be so kind as to leave your answers on the Canvas thread below, that would be greatly appreciated. Finally, some references if you'd like to read further on anything that was touched upon within this presentation. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.